Hello, all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you all for joining us today. Reimagine the future, the story of a day rooted in collective governance. Please note that if you need closed captioning, it's in the little box at the bottom of your screen with the CC in it. By this point, I'm sure many of you recognize me. My name is Kelsey. I use they, them pronouns. I'm calling in from Massachusetts and Pawtucket tribal land, also known as Boston, Massachusetts. I'm wearing a black shirt that says, "Another world is possible." I have short, curly brown hair, and my background is purple. And I'm also a senior program manager at Philanthropy Together. And if you're not familiar with our work, which I know that you all are at this point, we are a global initiative working to strengthen the field of collective giving with programming like We Give Summit. Today's session, I cannot stress to you all how excited I am to be present in it and participating in it. We are going to be imagining the world that not only we need, but we actually all deserve. We'll be doing some important doula work in this session, as I like to describe it. And so I encourage you all to engage in the chat. If you didn't see my messages, make sure you have a piece of paper, scissors if you have them, and then something to color with or draw with. And we're gonna get real crafty this session. So I hope you all are excited. As always, remember our community guidelines. And for those of you who stay till the end, you'll be entered into a raffle to receive a book of your choice. And so with that, I am unbelievably grateful, inspired, and excited to introduce our next two speakers and facilitators for this crafty session, Jessica Clark and Shari Davis. And so with that, take it away, y'all.
I'm like,
So
round of applause for Kelsey. Whoa. Thank you so much for that beautiful opening and introduction. Hey, everybody, my name is Shari Davis, and I serve as the co-executive director at the Participatory Budgeting Project, and I'm joined by the awesome and amazing Jessica Clark.
Thank you so much, Shari. So yes, I'm happy to be collaborating with the Participatory Budgeting Project. I am with Dot Connector Studio. We're a foresight and strategy firm based in Philadelphia, and we combine futuring, art, media making, and more to help imagine better worlds and better societies. So that's what we're going to try to do today.
Great. And on that same kind of vein, at the Participatory Budgeting Project, a lot of our work is actually focused on working with folks to shape the policies and the budgets that impact and affect their lives. And one of the things we realize is this intersection of the work that we do at PVP and the work that folks like Jessica do, reimagining our future, is actually essential for what we do right now. So let's move forward in our slides. And as we get ready to think about what we're going to do together today, I just wanted to take a moment to invite everyone to our future, or our futures plural. We're going to practice something that we like to call the collective futures generator. And building our future, shaping our future certainly is a practice. Now, we're doing this practice collectively, and that's intentionally. Building a collective future is, I think, something that's really important. And so in order to set the space, I want to see if we can maybe commit to a couple of group agreements. Next slide. Our group agreements today, as we roll over to the next slide, you'll see 4 group agreements that I'm going to ask you all to look over. In these group agreements, what I want to do is just give a heads up on what they are. And if you feel like you can commit to these group agreements for our time together today, I'm going to ask you to put the number 1 in the chat. If you have a change, an adjustment, something that you want to add to our list of group agreements, put the number 2 in the chat, and then we will address that. But the 4 group agreements that we wanted to start with today is, can we actively listen? We might get a chance to share some stories with each other today, and it'll be a huge gift and an opportunity. And if that does happen, let's think about how we demonstrate the awesome listening that we're doing in response to the beautiful sharing that folks may offer. Two is we're going to get a little edgy here, maybe. We're going to experience this collective storytelling from a variety of different perspectives. We're going to invite you to welcome in different perspectives. We're going to invite you to maybe stand in some different shoes. And there may be some stuff that just doesn't resonate with you. That is totally okay. But I wanted to encourage folks to open up to maybe looking at things slightly different. Number three, and this one is one that I really like. We might talk about some different things in this session. What you build and what you share, you have total control over. What other people build and what other people share, we want to make sure they have some control over. So if something gets shared in this space, you can take those ideas with you, but let's try and not share like individual stories outside of this space unless you have the permission of the individual that shared a personal story. And then last but not least, you heard Kelsey mention this is going to be crafty. Another word we can use there is creative. Let's get a little weird. Let's get creative together. Let's really robustly imagine our futures. Let's think bigger. Let's think expansively about what our futures can look like. Now, if you are down with these four agreements, meaning you can agree to them just for the time that we're all together, put the number 1 in the chat. And if you're like, wait a second, I need something to change, I need to add something to these agreements, put the number 2 in the chat. All right, I'm rolling over to the chat. I'm seeing some ones rolling, but moderators, please slow me down if y'all see any 2s. Thanks, everybody. We made our first collective decision together in this space. I think that's really incredible. Let's move on to our next slide. Okay, so now as everyone puts their ones into the chat, thank you very much. We're going to switch gears a little bit. Before we dive into our activity, we're going to take a moment to get grounded. Now, wherever you are, if you're standing up, get into a comfortable position. If you're sitting down, get into a comfortable position in your chair. I encourage you to get your feet firmly planted on the ground. I like to put my hands on the top of my knees or my thighs. And if you're comfortable, I'm going to invite you to lower your gaze or close your eyes. And we're going to do a little bit of a visualization. This is only going to last a minute or 2. Now, if you're with me, with your eyes cast down and your gaze lowered, I want to invite you to take a deep breath. And when you do, I want you to inhale for 4 whole seconds. Hold it for just a second, and then exhale for 4 whole seconds. Here we go. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, and exhale, 2, 3, 4. Let's try that again. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, pause. You may notice that this breathing takes a little bit of practice, and that's okay. I'm going to invite you to do this one more time and then keep doing it while we do the visualization. So here we go once more with your comfortable stance or your feet planted firmly on the ground. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and continue this breathing. Now imagine that we are in your home and it is beautiful. It is a beautiful day. By all accounts, it is a good day. You feel energized and excited. You just finished your favorite breakfast and you had a tall glass of water. You're getting ready to leave the house. You walk to your door, you open it, and the sunshine just floods on in. You walk onto the curb to your sidewalk nearest your home. You look back at your house and you smile. You love being there. You love your neighborhood. You look around at where you are and you remember you're getting ready to go meet a friend. As you walk through your neighborhood, you move to the park where you agreed to meet your friend and you hear children laughing You smell familiar smells of your neighborhood, maybe fresh cut grass. Maybe you're starting to smell flowers on this beautiful day. When you get to the park and you see your friend, you all greet each other and just start laughing. You fall into conversation. As you all are talking, you're laughing so hard that other people are looking over at you just to see what you're doing, and you laugh some more. You feel comfortable in your skin. You remember in your conversation with your friend that you all had agreed to go to a special event, one where you get to make some decisions together and learn about your community. You all move from the park to your special event, and as you get there, you feel good. You remember that you have everything you need, you're curious, and you're excited. When the event wraps up, you're happy that you had everything you needed to fully participate in that space. You saw friends, you saw neighbors, you all talked about what kind of really amazing day it was. And then you decided that you were going to travel on home. And as you get to your house, you smile again. You move to your favorite room in your space. You sit in your favorite chair and you take a deep, relaxing breath. Let's all take that final breath together. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, pause. And exhale, 2, 3, 4. Now, I want to invite you to maybe open your eyes or cast your gaze up and just take a moment to yourself to think about how that felt in your body. If there were words that came up for you, what are they? What did you feel? What did you see in your walk? Who did you see? Are they familiar faces? Are they faces that you've seen before? Are they faces that you really want to see? Are there feelings that you typically feel in your neighborhood? Or are these feelings that you want to feel in your neighborhood? Every space that we've done this kind of workshop, we've also asked a question, and it was raise your hand if you had an encounter with a police officer on your perfect day walk in your neighborhood. Most people say no, because they didn't have to have an encounter with a police officer. In this visualization, you had everything you needed. You were in a space where you were making decisions with others. You were in a space where maybe you felt some support. You had familiar sights, familiar sounds. It's this perfect day, this imagined future, this walk that we just took that Jessica and I are going to build on with you all today. So thank you for taking that walk with us, that visualization. Hold on to it for just a second and what you felt in your body. And we're going to come right back to that. Let's move on to the next slide. I want to tell you a little bit about how we got here and how we started doing that visualization. Again, y'all, my name is Shari, and the pronouns that I use are they, them, and she, her. And one of the things I had a chance to work on a couple years ago now was something called New Black City. It was an opportunity for us to generate a collective story, especially by those individuals that were often historically and traditionally marginalized. And what does it mean for us to build a world where everyone is fully accepted, where everyone is free, and where everyone can shape their future? And we started with this sort of visualization and traveled around the country and started telling this collective story. And then we said, you know what, I think we can take this to the next level. And we started working with Jessica and Coraline. Let me just pause for a second so that Jessica can share a little bit of how she's helped to build this new workshop.
So this is really an example of something I've been studying for a few years, which is how we use creativity and crafts to do something that's called design futures. So how do we create artifacts from the future, artifacts about the future, to create narratives, which can help to create change, to tell stories about what we hope and dream and imagine and fear, and to make possibilities accessible. And Shari and Coraline and I really clicked. We met at a convening about governance futures. Coraline's a radical technologist. She runs something called the Organization for Ethical Source, which works with open source developers and to try to make sure that the things that they're creating don't hurt the world. And Coraline's piece of the puzzle is to take these one-off narratives that we're going to build in a minute and help us spot patterns. Use technology to take everybody's dreams individually and turn them into a collective futures generator. So that's the prototype we're building. And this is one of our first workshops. So you're in on the ground floor on this experiment.
Yes. And speaking of the ground floor, let's move into actually being able, we have a really short amount of time, and y'all, we want to spend the bulk of our time building our collective stories together. And so let's move to the next slide. And Jessica is going to get everybody set up so that we can move into this space.
So we're going to be making zines, which many of you may have seen. I don't know if you can see me in my tiny box, but this is a zine. It's a little booklet which allows you to tell a story or teach somebody something or express something. And the reason we like these is because they really represent a particular moment in time. They don't take very long to make. It's a tangible, unique connection to that flow of time and to our own creativity, which is really important at this moment when AI is threatening to take over everybody's creativity and grind it through the meat grinder. It reminds us that our today is our descendants' tomorrow. So if you were to imagine in 20 years, somebody finding this scene, what would it tell them about this moment in history, what we're all facing together, what we wish would happen? It's also very tactile and forgiving. You don't have to be an artist. Here's a little zine that I made when we first met. It's not very well drawn. You don't have to like be super technical here. And you can also get funky with it. I ended up making this crazy list on the back of it, so you can use the front and the back. Zine culture is traditionally very communal. There were a lot of zine swaps, zine stores. So it's a nice shout out to the participatory ethos we're trying to cultivate. And it's easy to use and easy to replicate. We're going to ask you if you're willing to share your zines at the end of this session so that we can begin to see what everybody's thinking and dreaming about. So next slide, please. Let's get into it. Everybody should have a piece of paper. It doesn't matter which size. Here's a big one, here's a tiny one, whatever you got. All right, you're gonna hold it horizontally. Fold it in half from top to bottom. Crease it. Then fold it in half from left to right. You should have like a long book looking thing. Fold it in half one more time. Okay. Crease it all well and then unfold it again. All right. Then fold it like a taco, like an upside down taco. And bump out the little feet so it could like stand like an IHOP, like a little tent. Okay, so if you have scissors, great. But if you don't, it's all right. If you have them, you're gonna just snip down the middle, just to where the thing is standing on its little feet. If you don't, just tear it. Okay, here's the tricky and magical part. Put your fingers underneath. You push. So it makes almost like a little cross here, and then you fold. You should have 8 pages. Looks like this. Okay, if anybody finds this to be challenging, you can hit me up in the chat. I can try to help. Everybody good? Feel free to put your questions. I'll give you a second. Sarah, it's okay. There's no judgment. I'll do it one more time. Okay, in half, in quarters. Little feet. Slice. in half again, push, and then fold. All righty. Okay, thank you. So next slide, please.
All right.
Oh, wait, one sec. Go back for a sec. Just to underscore why we're doing this exercise again. It may seem like this is a silly thing to do, but narratives actually shape everything that we do and think and all the policies that we make. They undergird organizing, and we can't fight for what we haven't imagined. So this is your moment to imagine what you're fighting for. All right, go on.
Just dropping some gems there really quick. This is your moment, y'all, to imagine what you're fighting for. It is our collective story, our collective vision of the future that becomes the blueprint of our shared agenda, right? It becomes the blueprint of our shared dream. So I think that's a really important thing. All right, in just a second, y'all are gonna hear some music. We are gonna have at least 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, to build your story, your zine. Now, I have had a lot of practice from Jessica's tutelage and making my little booklet. If you're a person that's like, look, I can't figure out the booklet, just grab your piece of paper and you can use your paper however you want. We're going to create an artifact now. Many of y'all have zines. Some of y'all may have a horse of a different color, and that is okay. Please do not trip about whether or not you've got this perfectly folded or whether or not you're just using a piece of paper. Now, on whatever you're going to do, I want to invite you to use words, use images, use your emojis. Sometimes I have stickers on my desk, and so I use stickers and different things that I have around to take a walk. Similar to the walk that we took earlier in this session, that walk where it was a beautiful day, where you experienced some safety, where you saw some familiarity in your neighborhood, where you were excited, where you were happy, you had some belly aches from laughing. I want you now to take me into your future where you're walking down the street. I want you to imagine that we are all safe. No one is disposable, and we have won community-led decision-making. And that means that we as a community make decisions together about policies and how budgets are spent so that our needs are met. We are in that future. When you hear this music, I want you to think about where you're going in your walk. Maybe there are some investments that have been made that have been generated by community members like you that are popping up around you. Maybe there are resources that are available. In this future, things are not perfect, but they are great. And that means that there still might be conflict, but you all have safe ways of resolving it where people feel whole and good. Do you see any of that happening on your walk? Keep in mind that this is what we're fighting for, right? So folks are free, they're together, they're safe. What does that look like? Okay, so Jessica and I are also going to make some zines with y'all. The incredible magicians behind the scenes are about to play some music. I want you all to enjoy it. And we're going to come back periodically in the chat with a couple things to remind you of. But get your crafts out, let those creative juices flow, and try to dream bigger than what you've seen so far, right? Think about something that maybe you haven't seen yet. This is the thing that you are fighting for, like Jessica said. Okay, I'm going to start talking. Here comes the music. Let's make some zines, y'all. If you are like me, you may have put together some words and images. And I really think, again, that part of what we're doing here is understanding what our collective future is. And so if we had more time, we would allow you all to get into pair shares and have some conversation together, maybe even influence each other's stories. We might have some space to sit in a circle together and each tell the story that, or begin to tell some of the story that we created in our zine. Since we don't have all that time today, we're going to do a couple other things, but I want this to be an invitation to you all to maybe, as I said before, continue on your zine journey and what you've started to create, and maybe even sit with some of your friends, peers, colleagues, neighborhood members, and create a bit of a collective story on your own. You are invited to replicate what we have done together today. Before though, you start to think about that future, I want to move us into the next slide. I want everyone to just take a moment and look at their story. I mean, you can even unfold your paper if you want. Here's mine unfolded, and I'm going to figure out how to take my blur off in a second so that you can actually see. Okay, yeah, you might want to unfold it. There you go, and just look at your story for a second. See what's on there. You might not be done, and that's totally okay. And in the chat, after you've had a chance to look at your story and see what's on there, I want you to reflect a little bit about what's important to you. What thoughts, feelings, things, is there something in your story that you are so excited about that you want to uncover a bit more? Is there a thing that you felt in the future that you started to create that really stood out to you? Is there a business, an institution, or a non-institution, a plan for housing that you feel was affirming of lives that you want to share? I want you to just take a second and write 15 words-ish in the chat. Write the things that stood out to you. Write the feelings that you felt. If you were going to like whisper in my ear a couple things that stood out to you in your story, what would be those 15 things? And don't press enter on a chat yet. I'm going to let you write those things. And in just like 32 seconds, I'm going to tell you when to press enter. So I'm going to stop talking. You're going to hear some silence for just a second so that you can write into the chat what you would like whisper to me and each other about what you just made. What stood out to you? What's exciting? How are you feeling? Write 15 words in the chat. Don't press enter. I'll tell you when. Vicky, you gave us a good modeling. That was perfect. But everyone else, hold on. Hold on. Don't press enter in the chat. Type into the box and I'll tell you when to go. Okay. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Push enter on whatever you got in that box. You all are incredible. You know that? Okay. I'm seeing some really good stuff in the chat so far. I'm seeing things about, I have to make my chat box bigger. I'm seeing things about equality, women's equality. I'm seeing things about healing and teaching future generations. I'm seeing things about a network of paid grannies to watch out for folks in distress or folks who deserve flowers for civic celebration. Talk about an intergenerational solution. I really like this. People hold conflict together with openness. Sounds like people imagine building a crucible that can contain heat, right? People are able to be whole and able to address conflict. Families are supported. There's abundant access to nature. There's quick, convenient, affordable public transit. There's free therapy for everybody. There's social emotional learning in schools. There's Black feminist theory in schools. There are seeds that grow, and some grow on their own, and some might grow with support. There's education, there's books, there's clean air, there's wildlife, there's connection with Dakota people in the Big River, there's healing, there's connection, there's strength, there's power, there's teaching. This future is centered in care, abundance, alignment. People have enough. Everybody has enough. There's communal regeneration, there's therapy through nature, there's cultivating seeds of change. Y'all, I'm inspired, and something I didn't share when we started is my partner and I just had a baby. And you might notice on the cover page of my zine, I tried to imagine my baby and their maybe baby or their nibbling or nephew, whoever they have strapped to their chest in the future. I do a lot of baby carrying right now. And in my future, I thought about some of the same things that you did. I thought about free healthcare. I thought about what it means to actually have a space to make decisions together where you can talk and have deep dialogue. You can't just make decisions together if you haven't had any practice. So what does it look like for a community to invest in a space where we can talk together? I made a space where we can like ask questions and have those questions answered. I wrote things like free education and vouchers for guaranteed income. I want you, like me, to unfold your story. And I want to ask the wizards behind the wings to take down our slideshow for just a moment. I want to see everybody. If you're able to turn on your camera, I want to invite you to do that. And if the wizards behind the wings could make it so that we can see everybody. I know that you all have had a chance to look at Jessica and I, and that's fantastic. But I want to see everybody all at once. And if you're able to turn on your camera, great. If you're not able to turn on your camera, that is okay. I want to invite you with your camera on and wherever you are with your story to hold up your image, our collective story. Let's see some of our collective story together. Hold it up. And then we're going to take a little picture. Hang on, y'all. Hold it up so I can see everybody's collective story. Okay, Jessica got the camera ready. Okay, 5, 4. Keep holding them up. 3. Arm workout. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so you all can put your stories down. It's good to see y'all. You know, I like looking at Jessica, and maybe I was looking at my own image, but it's really good to see y'all's faces. Thank you for building some stories with us. We are not done. We wanted to do one more thing. So shout out to the wizards in the back, because I'm going to ask them to bring the slides up one more time. And y'all can see all my comic books behind me. That's why I keep it blurred out. I have a little comic book collection back here. It's a little bit different than zines, but that's all right. Okay, great. I am going to hand it off to Jessica. We did a little bit of capturing our collective story, but you all, we want to do a little bit more. As Jessica mentioned, this is one of our first versions of the Collective Futures Generator that we did together here in this space. So shout out to you all. Shout out to the We Give Summit for holding it down, for allowing us to dream together. But part of this is being able to understand and build that shared blueprint of our future. Coraline, who's not here, does do some incredible work to help to collate and help us understand what some of these early visions are. So I'm going to stop talking and let Jessica tell you how, if you want, you can help to share the artifact or zine that you just created.
Yeah, so the way that we had you hold up the zine is the way that we would love you to capture it, because when you have it unfolded, that means we can take a picture of it and we can replicate it on our end. And if you did something funky on the inside, which I didn't, but you know, people are creative, please take a picture of both sides. And then we weren't sure if you were in the US or not, but if you're in the US or if you have WhatsApp or whatever, you can text your picture to the number on the screen, 201-948-5167. Or if you're elsewhere, or if you're just easier to email them, you can email them to our colleague, Jane. She's at jane@participatorybudgeting.org. And please include any information that you are comfortable or feel compelled to share about yourself, your name, how you identify yourself in whatever way that is, which lands you inhabit. We're trying to figure out what's an appropriate level of data to ask people for. So we're just curious to hear what you want to share, what you want to know. And let us know if you want to stay tuned as this evolves. We also encourage you to do this in your own community if you want. We're happy to coach you on it. We're creating basically a white label process that will allow folks to put whatever their brand is on this workshop so that we can see everybody's collective futures, not just the folks we know and love. Sound good? You can find that information in the chat too, if you didn't have a chance to grab it from the screen. And we got one more slide. We love you. Thank you very much. We're creating the futures we can envision. Stop reading the news and start writing your own news. And drop us a line if you think that your collective giving group would find this to be a fun thing to do. That's it. Our emails are on the final slide there. One more click, please, wizards. Yep, so drop us a note if you have questions. And thanks again for helping us to work on this prototype and keep moving the practice forward.
Thanks, Jessica. Thanks, Kelsey. Can we hand it back to you?
Yes, you can hand it back to me. Thank you so much, Shari and Jessica. I know for so many of us this week, it's been a really, really hard week. And this is the kind of work that we all need to be doing as activists to truly imagine and doula the world that we deserve. I cannot stress enough to you all how important this style of work is to me as an activist, and I hope to all of you. So go bring it out to your collective giving groups, host a night where you all get to draw zines and envision your future world, and then share it back with Shari and Jessica and Jane and all of them so we can really envision a world we deserve.